She never expected her life to cross paths with him again. The invitation lay on the wooden table for days, mocking her silently every time she walked past it. Her ex-husband was getting married, and he had sent her a gilded card, not out of kindness, but to humiliate her. He had everything now: wealth, business empires, recognition, and the perfect bride from an elite family. She was nothing in his eyes, just a shadow from his past. That was exactly why he wanted her there. He wanted her to witness how far he had climbed while she, in his mind, had stayed behind in poverty. But what he didn't know was that she hadn't been left empty-handed the day he walked away. What he didn't know was that in her silence, she carried the weight of 3 lives, their children. Alone, abandoned, and shattered, she had raised them against all odds. They were no longer the helpless newborns she had once cradled through hungry nights. They were now walking proof that she hadn't lost everything when he left. She had built her world around them, and they had given her strength greater than his riches could ever provide. The memory of those early days clawed at her even as she held the invitation. She remembered fainting from exhaustion in her tiny apartment, working 2 jobs just to buy milk. She remembered watching from the distance as he appeared on television, his arm around wealthy investors, smiling as though he had never known struggle. Each time, she swallowed her pride and carried on. She told her children stories of kindness, not bitterness. She raised them to believe their father had once loved her, but life had taken them apart. She kept the truth tucked away, too heavy for their young hearts. Now, as the wedding day approached, she made a choice. She would go, not to confront, not to plead, not to cause a scene, but to show the world that she had not been broken. When she stepped out of the limousine that day, she wanted her children to see her standing tall, not as a victim, but as a woman who had survived. The morning of the wedding was filled with whispers in the city. His wedding was the event of the year. The hotel ballroom was transformed into a palace, crystal chandeliers casting golden light, tables decorated with white roses, and a runway carpet that led straight to the altar. Guests arrived in luxury cars, dressed in diamonds and silk, eager to witness the spectacle. He was at the center of it all, basking in his triumph. His smile was wide, his suit tailored to perfection, his bride glowing like royalty. He thought the world was his stage, and today was his final performance, until the doors opened. Every head turned. The grand double doors creaked slowly, and through them walked the last person anyone expected. Her gown wasn't flashy but carried quiet elegance, her hair neatly tied back, her posture unshaken. By her side, 3 children walked in unison, holding her hands, their little faces lighting up the room. And behind them, the limousine still parked outside was proof that she had not come crawling as he expected, she had arrived with grace. Whispers spread like wildfire. Is that his ex-wife? Who were those children? The bride's smile faltered, her grip on his arm tightening. He, the man of the hour, stood frozen. His heart pounded as he recognized her, and then his eyes landed on the children. They had his face, his jawline, his eyes, his features multiplied by 3. She met his gaze once. Not with anger, not with bitterness, but with the calm of a woman who had nothing left to fear. She walked past the stunned guests, her children marveling at the beauty of the hall, oblivious to the storm they had created. He tried to move forward, but his feet felt like stone. His bride leaned in and whispered, "Who are they?" But he had no answer. The ceremony faltered. Guests were no longer admiring the chandeliers or the roses. Their eyes followed her, this woman who had once been discarded but now shone brighter than the bride herself. Every step she took stripped him of the arrogance he had built over the years. He had invited her to laugh at her poverty, but she had walked in carrying the wealth he could never measure: love, dignity, and the truth of his bloodline. And yet, she didn't cause a scene. She didn't demand recognition. She simply sat at the back with her children, quietly. The triplets giggled and pointed at the musicians, tugging her hand, and she smiled warmly, as though this day were nothing more than a family outing. That smile, so serene, was more humiliating to him than any outburst could have been. During the vows, he stumbled over his words. His bride noticed. His voice cracked under the weight of his own shame. Each glance at the children tore at his soul. He thought he had everything: the wealth, the reputation, the perfect image. But standing there, he realized the truth. He had abandoned the very thing that could never be bought: the bond of family. When the ceremony ended, she rose gracefully, ready to leave. That was when he finally moved, stepping down from the altar, his bride watching with suspicion and anger. "Wait," he called out softly. The room hushed. She turned, her children's hands still in hers. His eyes were wet, his pride broken. "Are they mine?" he asked, his voice trembling. The guests leaned in, breaths held. She looked at him, her expression calm. "They are ours," she said simply. The truth hit him like a storm. His legs weakened, his chest tightened. The bride's face paled as the whispers grew louder. But she didn't stay to watch the chaos unfold. She turned, gathered her children, and walked out of the hall with dignity and tact. The limousine door closed, and as it drove away, she felt no bitterness, no desire for revenge. She had shown him everything without a single cruel word. The guests would remember her, not his wealth, not his grand wedding. They would remember the strength of a woman who had been broken and rebuilt herself with grace. And in that silence, her children leaned against her, whispering, "Mama, you looked like a queen." Her eyes filled with tears, but her heart was light. She didn't need to prove herself anymore. She had already won. Because the greatest victory is not in revenge, but in living a life so full of dignity and love that those who left you can only watch in awe.